happened tonight. Woo! This is where you woo. Thank you all so much for
Y'all
hanging
can
out.
do better than that.
Yes, do it.
How's everybody doing tonight? Oh my
That was
goodness.
still
Y'all must
weak.
have homework.
That was still weak. They're probably in class right now as we speak, online.
They're online.
Yeah, she definitely is. So thank you all so much for hanging out and spending time with us, and especially those who are joining in on the live stream. So today, the reason we have these fancy snacks for you and we're at the plinth is because we're celebrating First Generation Celebration Week. So this is a national event to celebrate students who will be first in their family to complete their degrees. And can I get an even better woo? Amber, help me out. From students who will be first in their family to graduate.
Woo!
There we go. There we go. Now it's happening. Now the vibe is much better, Amber. So that's why we're here, and I have an alumni speaker here with us this evening because as a first-generation student, I think one of the biggest things that we can do to support each other in our journeys is share our stories. And so I'm here with Amber Brown. First, I should also say my name is Courtney Burkeen. I'm the Senior Associate Dean in the Office of Undergraduate Education.
Woo!
Yes, that's right. I, too, was a first-generation graduate myself, and so being here with Amber, having watched her grow, looking out at the audience today, I'm just thinking how many of you now we're meeting at this event. Will we stay in touch with our students like Damien, our students like Sophie, who are hanging out and serving as leaders? Will I be interviewing, how many? 8 years from now? 6 years from now? When did you graduate? So be thinking about your legacy at UT Dallas, and if you'll come back and be a speaker one day as well. And the reason Amber is here, I'm going to read you an official bio. This is your life goals, y'all. So Amber Brown is a native of Dallas. Can I get a woo for natives of Dallas who graduate from UT Dallas? Woo! All right. And a graduate of Skyline High School. It is a public service professional who is passionate about social justice and poverty alleviation. Amber captained the University of Texas at Dallas's first ever women's basketball conference championship teams. That's real. She was an MVP. Culminating in a trip to the Sweet 16 while earning a Bachelor of Sociology and a Master of Public Affairs. Subsequently, Amber worked in Washington, D.C. as a public policy fellow. Let that sink in. First Gen from Dallas, public policy fellow in Washington, D.C., which eventually led to her work in the field of sport for development and peace with nonprofits both overseas and in Dallas, Texas now. During Amber's time overseas, she played professional basketball and traveled to 26 countries in 2 years. Her involvement in a number of community organizations highlights her passion for social justice. Now, Amber is a board member of the Texas Organizing Project. Yes, a board member, fancy. The director of operations at 4 Oak Cliff and volunteers regularly with a number of community organizations in Dallas. She was also recently featured by Teen Vogue, which is super exciting for her work in sustainability. Over the years, Amber has realized how the power of sports, community, and public service can continue driving social impact, which she is grateful to serve as a keynote speaker for First Generation Celebration Week kickoff. It's happening. This is so exciting. Okay, first question, and we'll take some questions from the audience too now that y'all are officially hanging out and you've whooped like 6 times, so now you're in it to win it. But Amber, would you describe for us your experience as a first-generation student at UT Dallas, and when did you realize you were first generation?
Yes, thank you so much, Courtney. I really appreciate the kind introduction. Like she said, my name is Amber, and I just want to start off by thanking y'all for letting me be here. This is probably one of my proudest moments, to be able to sit here at my alma mater and really just tell my story, because we all have one, and y'all should all be really proud. I feel really thankful to be the keynote speaker for such a powerful, meaningful event and a week and the beginning of a journey of y'all's lives. So thank y'all. I do want to say first, before I answer that question, can y'all raise your hand if you're listening?
Oh,
nice. Okay.
Amber's got the audience for
Great.
the YouTube
Because I saw her
viewers.
over clapping.
She's got
I
'em.
really appreciate
She's
that.
got them.
This week, this start of y'all's journey is the start of incredible opportunities. One of my favorite quote is, "Greatness has no peak," meaning that greatness can occur at any moment. It can occur at your lowest moments. It can occur at your highest moments. There is no peak to greatness, and that's something I really believe in. And I think as first-generation students, we're going to run into a lot of situations where it's new and it's scary. So you asked me when was the first time I knew I was a first-generation college student. How many of y'all have had to apply for any type of college application, any type of FAFSA, anything? It should be all of y'all, because we all had to apply to get to UTD, right? That was the moment I knew I was a first-generation student, was when I was sitting at home trying to fill out FAFSA at home. I had no idea what I was doing, and my mom was sitting right next to me. She literally looked at me and was like, Amber, I have no idea what this is. I just don't know. And she literally broke out crying because she didn't know how to help. That happened all through high school, not only with just my parents, they didn't go to college, barely finished high school, but you can imagine the years as our parents get older, the knowledge that we know and the knowledge that they had back then. And so I knew that it was going to be a challenge. Not only did my parents not go to college, but my siblings also did not. My brother attempted, but that was that was one semester too bad. But I think when I got to UT Dallas, I really experienced a lot of different things. I experienced having to build a schedule. I experienced having all of this work thrown at me that I literally had never been asked to do before. And I don't know if my teachers in high school were just kind of making things up that didn't really matter, so I never actually had any work. Because all of a sudden when I got to UT Dallas, it was like, hey, be an athlete. Hey, do all this work. Hey, figure out FAFSA. Hey, figure out how to get a job. Hey, figure out where you're going to live. And all of those things are really incredibly challenging things when you're 17, 18 years old. You almost have no idea what you're doing. And then when there's no really guidance around that, it makes it even more incredibly difficult. So I think the other things that made me realize was like setting yourself up on the right foot was something that's really challenging as a first-generation student. I chose a living space based on what I could afford and who could live with me, and it wasn't the best. And I think, every decision you're making right now, not that you should put a lot of pressure around it, but you should definitely think about every decision you make as a decision for yourself, because only you have to live your life with you. Like at the end of the day, you go to sleep answering to yourself. And so every decision you make, see your future, keep your future in mind. Keep in mind who you want to be, what you want to do, because that's the journey you're starting off at, and really start to figure out how to incorporate, good people in your life. I'll tell you, Courtney here was one of the best people that could have ever came into my life at the time that she did, because she literally made me be better. And those are the types of people you want to put in your life, because as a first-generation student, you're not going to have someone actively stepping in your corner and advocating for you, because no one really knows what your experience is. Your parents aren't going to know what you're experiencing right now. So really lean into finding people who can support you and who are positive for your life.
Thank you so much, Amber, for sharing that. I do think that realization of being first gen occurs at different times for everyone. Next, would you discuss the intersectionality of your identities? So being first generation, being a Black woman, being a student athlete, and how all of that affected your experience too, and how you navigated it during your time at UT Dallas.
Yeah, of course. Just looking at the audience, I think there's a lot of identities that we hold. For me, I think the biggest identity shock that I had when I came to UT Dallas was that people didn't really look like me or what I came from. I went from a predominantly Black and Hispanic high school to UTD, which was predominantly international, white, and then I think a very small percentage is, other students of color. And so that was the whole culture of being at UT Dallas. Even the vicinity and the part of town that it's in was very foreign to me, and I didn't know who to turn to, who to talk to, who to hang out with. And I think for me, luckily, I was an athlete. Me being an athlete was a huge part of my identity, and I'm sure a lot of people can identify with that maybe in other ways, like maybe academics. You know, for me, I leaned on my identity of being an athlete as what would carry me through college, because I knew it probably wouldn't be academics, and I knew it wouldn't be the crazy parties at UT Dallas. I mean, let me know if you feel differently. So I think I was very lucky to enter college as an athlete because I naturally had a friend circle with, quite frankly, people who looked like me, at least a little more than the general body. I definitely lean towards that. You lean towards what you're comfortable with. But I will tell you that that is something that I had to overcome, was not holding myself only to what I thought I identified with, but to challenge myself to grow and learn more about the things that I wasn't familiar with. I had to reach out and get to know other students in my class, whether they looked like me or I felt like they were smarter than me. I think that's hard. Like, sometimes it's hard to connect with people who are different. And for me, when I didn't do that, when I didn't try to connect with other people who weren't like me, I felt myself struggling even more because I was closed-minded. And I think that's the biggest thing that you can do stepping into college, is figure out a way to be open-minded. And have, something I really want to touch on is just like finding patience, because you grow so much. Who I am today versus who I was at 18, 19, 20, every year after that has changed so much. And I know at that time in my life, mental health was not a conversation. Diversity, the way it is, like, people openly recognizing the fact that you are a person of color was not a conversation, even 6, 7, 8 years ago. It literally was not. And I think being an international student who is actively going out of their way to recognize that, probably people like Courtney in offices like, the undergraduate office, but there's probably not a lot of people acknowledging that in your life. And I think it is very important to, one, acknowledge that for yourself and build your support system around the things that you need to get you through, because we all need that support. And so the more you can lean on that, you should, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful, Amber. I think embracing all of your different identities and finding a place where you have shared interests, but also being open to being challenged by others too. I think that's really great. So describe some of the challenges you had to face while being a student at UT Dallas, and most importantly, how have they helped you form into the person you are in a positive way? If you could frame some of your assets now that you've had a chance to reflect on your journey, and how do you feel that you still call upon your first-generation student assets when you do feel imposter syndrome still creep up on you in your settings now as a leader?
Yeah, so I always wonder how candid I should be,
Candid.
when I talk. You want me to be candid?
Yes, I do.
Okay, when I started university, because I felt so out of place, and basketball was hard. Like, imagine your identity lies in academics and you're failing. That's gonna suck, because then you feel like the one thing that you're good at, what else, if I'm failing at everything else, and then the one thing I'm supposed to be good at, I'm failing at that, then what do you have left? And I think I didn't have a lot of positive mentorship in my life, at least not that was continually coming into my world. So I didn't have boundaries for myself. And I think that is something that I had to learn how to do. That was a challenge because I had no boundaries for myself. I knew I wanted to go to school. I knew I wanted to pass school, but I didn't know really what the purpose of that was. I didn't know why. I just knew it was like something I should do. But really deep down inside, I knew I wanted to make my community better. I just felt like I had a bigger purpose, and that school was a great opportunity. So once I set goals for myself, and then set boundaries, that is life-changing. It really is. And I think another thing was, school is already aggressively overburdensome. It's a lot. And I know it sounds cheesy, but like find your routine that works for you. Like me personally, I work a lot, but I also love to hot tub. So on Friday night, I don't care if I go to bed at 9, I'm going to go to a hot tub at some point because that's my routine. My routine is I work hard and then I relax and I hot tub. And for y'all, your routine may be like, I study, I go to, whatever. I go hang out with my friends, but finding a healthy routine, something that encourage positive behavior and positive outcomes for your life, is something that I had to figure out how to do, because a lot of us have routines, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily a good routine. And we all have our coping mechanisms. We all have things that are our flaws, but finding what those are and setting boundaries for yourself to remove those from your routine and building good ones.
I mean, and also talk about your journey academically, because you came in just picking a major that sounded cool, and then your grades shifted, dramatically when you gave yourself the clearance and the okay to relinquish that major and change. I see our dean of EPS here, when you changed into EPS, and I mean, it changed your life, and I saw your grades change, and I saw the weight lift off your shoulders, literally your body language changed. Talk a little bit about that journey, because I think that that's important for students at this kind of stage in any semester, right?
Yeah, see, I'm glad we're doing Q&A, because you know my brain. So what Courtney's talking about is I started off as a neuroscience major. Made no sense. I saw a brain on an infographic, and I was like, ooh, I want to major in neuroscience. Cool, that's what I majored in. Bad choice. Instantly got Fs in I think all of my classes. Well, maybe. I think I passed sociology. I don't know.
Yes,
but
exactly.
but I was having a real crisis. Like my whole freshman year, I was like, I'm doing horrible in school. This is supposed to be your basic classes, and I was just struggling a lot. And I felt like I was giving it all my effort, but nothing was really succeeding for me. And that was the thing. Like I constantly built relationships. I got involved with, how I met Courtney is because I got involved with the comic cover because I was passionate about giving back, serving. To much is given, much is required, and I needed that food. And I also felt like I had a duty to serve and give back as well. And so through that, great opportunities came, and that's how I met Courtney. And we had several heart-to-hearts before I changed my major. Just figuring out, like, what do you care about? Like, what are you passionate about? What do you know what you're passionate about. I'm bad at articulating my words, still to this day, but I knew I cared about people and I wanted to make my community better. I was tired of seeing Band-Aids put on our issues. And so, just really kind of digging deep, having to do my own research about what sociology as a major means and what that could do, and really just trusting that I didn't have to make the right choice, but I just had to make a choice that felt like it belonged, like I belonged there. Like that felt like it aligns a lot more, and still trusting that if I give this my full effort, then it would work out. And it, it wasn't great. I graduated undergrad with a 2.7.
Doesn't matter. She graduated, went to grad school. That's right.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because like Courtney took to bat for me to get into grad school. I mean, she really did. And I graduated with a 3.8. I almost had a 4.0, which was incredibly shocking to me. I mean,
that's right.
And that goes to show that a piece of paper does not define you. It really doesn't. And, hard work is something that will always pay off. And healthy hard work. Don't kill yourself trying to be perfect. Don't kill yourself trying to make the right choice. Just give it your best and trust that you are enough. You really are doing enough. Y'all sitting here is incredible. And if no one's told you that, then I'm telling you it now, because y'all have gone through so much. You go through so much every single day, and you deserve to be here. And I think that was something I had to realize and and people like Courtney really helped me realize was like I deserve to be there. So just be patient with yourself. Like be patient in the choices that you make, but also give yourself grace. You all deserve it.
Yeah, I think it's really good because you have highlighted some of your assets that you've relied upon, your work ethic, and kind of constantly reminding yourself, like, I do deserve to be here because, you know, you and I always talked a lot about book smarts. Like, I might not be the most book smart person in the room, but I'm going to be more capable than most, and I think that that goes a long way. Talk a little bit about your introspection when you talk about, you know, some of these students might be struggling to see themselves continuing their education and might say, I'm just going to go into the workforce because that's a natural next step, right? And you almost did that too. However, you kept talking about your purpose and how you wanted to apply your degree. How did you shift seeing yourself as an undergraduate student with the 2.7 to imagining being a successful graduate student? Talk about that process, like the introspection and how you remind yourself of what got you through that to this day.
Yeah, I think something that that carried me through was one. Okay, now I've gotten through undergrad, so I know I can succeed at school, and I did the research around what the outcomes are for first-generation students having a master's degree, and the difference that that can make financially, specifically. Because for me, what I'm trying to do in my life is break the chains of systemic oppression. That is my purpose. That is what I want to do. And so I knew that pursuing something like that, I knew it would be a whole nother mountain that I'm literally choosing to walk up. Why I would want to do that? Who knows? But, you know, I knew that the outcomes, I knew that it would be a positive choice for my life. The same way I knew going to college would be, whether I wanted to do it or not. I knew that it would be a good step. So I think I really had to ask myself, you know, Amber, are you committed to this? Are you committed to making another big decision? Because at the end of the day, when you have a vision for your life, when you know that you want to pursue something, a lot of times that takes courage, even if you feel like you can't do it. And I had to dig deep and find that courage because everything you're going to do here is going to be difficult. And you can choose to honor your choice and your decision to make yourself and your life better and follow your intuition, or you can kind of back away in fear of failure. And I think there's a big difference between knowing something that's not for you and then being afraid for failure. Because if it's difficult, then it's worth it. And also just give yourself, I mean, I really wanted, you know, tonight to really hone in on patience because I knew how many great opportunities could come. And when I got into grad school, there was a program that I did, the Archer Public Policy Fellowship in Washington, D.C. I pursued that. I didn't think I would even get it. I don't even know why they would look at my application, let alone accept me to the program. And I wanted to pursue that because I started getting my bachelor's degree saying that I wanted to change my community. I'm tired of seeing the same systemic issues arise and nothing's being done. So when I went to DC, when I was in grad school, I was like, okay, Archer, public policy, change legislation, make the world better, right? And here was my opportunity, and some of the smartest kids across the whole UT system were applying for this program, and here I was at that crossroad like, okay, Amber, are you really, you really think you're gonna get this? All right, cool. But you know, it was like something that you gotta put in the time to write the application. You gotta write the hypothetical public policy. Did I wanna do any of that? No, absolutely not. Write another paper? No. But I knew that was what I set out to do. That was my mission and my vision was to, you know, fight for my community, to learn more so that I could be able to do that, so I could have a seat at the table. And so I put myself through that agonizing pain of writing a public policy paper. And was it perfect? Absolutely not. People gave me grace, and I know that. But they saw my charisma, my passion, and they saw that I believed in my purpose, even if I didn't, because I went for it. And I listened to the good people in my life versus the bad. And I went for it. I had that courage. And so with all things we do, there's going to be times where you have to have courage for yourself, to stand up for yourself, to fight for yourself, to learn more, to push yourself even further, to be the one that stands out, to stay up those late nights and study, to wake up early. There are going to be those moments, but you really have to decide, like, what am I doing this for? And remember that. Always remember that.
I think that's really great, Amber. And so on to some practical advice, too, just because we are always encouraging our students to reach out to us, reply to our numerous emails, build relationships in your life. And I think that your career has a lot to do with the relationships you built throughout your time at UT Dallas and sharing your story and talking to people and the positive changes that made during your tenure. I'm looking at Carmen from our First-Generation Student Support Network and financial aid, because you came to Dean of Undergraduate Education at that time with concerns about paying for your education. You and I talked, it came up, you could have been using Hazelwood to fund your education and were not. And that just came up in a casual conversation in our first one-on-one. So if you would share with the students some examples like that throughout your career of how just sharing your story and talking to people, you're like, what? Oh, I didn't know about the Archer Public Policy Fellowship. Oh, I didn't know I could get Hazel. Oh, I didn't know I could apply to be a graduate assistant, you know what I mean? And the value of building those relationships and being willing to put yourself out there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So something I want to say, so you mentioned relationships, and then the practical advice. And then I'm going to rewind just a little bit. You said one of my greatest assets. I really feel like one of my greatest assets is something intangible, which is my intentions. And I think your intentions going into relationships, because college is not just about passing. College is a world of networking, and friendship and relationships. I think I didn't walk up to meet Courtney and be like, hey, give me a undergraduate student worker job. Like, I was like, okay, you know, she's the dean. I think at the time you were associate dean of undergraduate education. Look at her now. But like, I was like, this is incredible. I get to meet someone who is not only a boss, but she's young and thriving, and she's doing really impactful things. And I wanted to meet her, and I wanted to get to know her. And I think college puts a lot of pressure on us to approach relationships, interactions with people, wanting something immediately, like wanting, like, hey, I need this, so I only need this. But that's not what it's about. And that's not what, approaching any type of relationship like that, whether it's romantic, whether it's your professor, it's never going to connect. You're never going to be able to connect with people and build a true relationship where there's mutual, mutual engagement and interaction. And I think those relationships are going to take you so far. And that's what I mean by finding those positive people in your life. There is a lot of knowledge on this campus, whether it be, what is it, it's like social skills, brain smarts, street smarts. Yes. So you need a little bit of both. And those relationships, who you meet on this campus requires both, brain smarts and street smarts, because you're going to learn stuff from people, and you're also going to get connected when you have that genuine sense. So with getting connected to services, there are so many free services on campus, it's not even funny. And you will not find these outside of college, I promise you. Y'all have a health center. You can get free health. That is unheard of in America. So y'all better take advantage of that, please. You have an academic success center. I mean, y'all probably got 50 other things now, but a tutoring center, oh my gosh, I cannot tell you. Writing center, that's what it was, the writing center. Man, that lady in the writing center, she knew my face, she knew my name, she probably knew my student ID number. That's how much I was in there, and that changed my life. She helped me write, she helped me learn how to literally write, because I don't know what I was learning in high school, but grammar was not a thing. And so, like, I mean, take advantage of all those resources, because not only are they free, but they're super beneficial, and you never know who you're gonna meet while doing that. And so 100% take advantage of every resource, not just on campus, but as you meet people when you're out, as you volunteer, as you go to parties. Make good friends. Make every friend possible. Meet people, explore, learn about yourself. I mean, really, like, going back to the boundaries, I'm such a deep-thoughted person. This journey is all about you. Because at the end of the day, I can't say this enough, in your lowest moments, in your highest moments, you will reflect with yourself. You will look internally and say, man, I did that. Or you will look internally and say, man, this sucks. And you're going to turn to your left and your right, and sometimes there's not going to be anyone there. And that can be really challenging. And so relationships are incredibly important. I don't want to be too personal, but one of the lowest moments in my life was when I chose to turn away from people because of the fear and the pain that I felt like I was experiencing. And I think that is one of the worst things you can do, because we need people, we need energy, and sometimes we need sparks. And so that can motivate you, that can help support you, that can empower you, and sometimes that can just validate you in the thoughts and the feelings that you have. And so definitely lean on those people in your life.
Yeah, that's really great. The word authenticity came to mind as you were speaking. I think that that's one of your assets too, being authentic and going in with those good intentions, right? And in a competitive academic environment like UT Dallas, that can be hard for students when it's easy to get caught up in being a resume box checker. They're doing this, I should do this too, and to only approach things for that, very narrow desired outcome. But I think authenticity and that intentionality is very good advice. Okay, so our last question is, what are you most proud of for being first gen? We're going to end on a super proud and positive note because that's our big theme. And then we'll make you available to maybe answer any questions from anyone who might have them for you.
Yeah, I struggled on how to answer this because it's really tough, and I'm not great at talking about myself. I think one of my proudest moments is to be here. I think is very, it gives me a lot of joy because I know walking up these steps, going through these halls, oh my gosh, just thinking about all the difficult times, all the incredible times, but to be sitting here with y'all, knowing that you're about to go through that, knowing that you're going to survive that, knowing that you are going to be amazing, knowing that you're going to get to sit and interact with the Donna Mays and the Courtneys, knowing that you're going to build friendships. Those are all things that I got to experience and that I survived and that I thrived in. And I'm here now. Like, this is such an accomplishment. UT Dallas was such a big part of my life. And it will be such a big part of your life. And you never know what you're going to sit back 6-8 years from now and reflect on and be like, dang, I did that. Like, now you're probably running your own company. You just never know where you'll be. And I'm really proud to and honored for y'all to let me sit here and speak because it's beautiful. I could, when I was a freshman, I would not have imagined surviving college, let alone sitting in the seat. So, and I failed my first year. Like, and I'm, and to think that I'm sitting here now is such an honor because that means that y'all think that I have something good to say. And that is very, that's an honor for me because I understand that people do see that. People do see that value. In the same way they see that value in me, they're going to see that value in you because you fought hard to get to where you are. And so y'all are all really incredible. I hope y'all know that. And I hope that your first year or second year, whatever your year you're in, that it goes amazing. And I really hope y'all do ask questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amber, and you're here because we are proud of you and you've accomplished something. But thank y'all so much. Thank you, Amber. All right, you want to stay and hang out? Thank you all so
Yeah.
much for tuning in. We really appreciate you. Have a great First Generation Celebration Week.